If you're adding a string arrangement to your music, you're probably missing this one important detail. Hi everybody, my name is Tony Manfredonia. I'm a singer-songwriter. I am a composer. I make very symphonic pop music, and whether I'm singing with it or whether I'm making a video game soundtrack with credits like Minecraft and The Outer Worlds 2, whatever it may be, I love making music for the orchestra, and I am here to help you do the same for your own music, no matter what genre you make. In today's episode, we're talking about the most common missing element that I hear in string arrangements for music of all styles and all genres: viola. It is the underrated goat, as the kids say these days. In so many arrangements out there, I very frequently hear the cello and the violin. But the biggest one that I wish I would hear more of in arrangements is the viola. Why? What is so important about the viola that you should start using it even with your virtual orchestra mockups? Violas add weight in the middle. So let's dive in to how you can start thinking about this with your own arrangements. So here's a song of mine that I made and released last year. It's called Sleeves. It's a bit more melancholy, but it's a fairly, traditional pop instrumentation, kind of a piano ballad with some strings. Here are my strings. I did it all with Cinematic Studio strings. In fact, this was like kind of a test run track for me. I was gearing up for a soundtrack that I knew I would be using CSS. So this is kind of like, let me get used to CSS in a kind of a symphonic pop way. Here we go. I'm just going to play a little bit right before the strings come in. Let's get this, a little bit of a verse here.
Didn't want the world to know, but it's all there for show. Can't erase memories embedded into sleeves. Didn't want the world to know, but it's all...
Okay, a very, very common string arrangement, right? Nice lush sustains beneath a piano that's adding motion. Very, very common. I mean, that's literally in every style of music that's out there. Let's take a peek at what's happening here. Very first moment, we have violin 1 and violin 2 in unison. And then they go up to a single pitch, and then they spread. Right? Then they split. So what I'm doing in this arrangement is I'm starting with a fairly open, kind of minimal two voice line here, right? Violin 1 and violin 2. Viola's down here with the cello, right? So I have violin 1 and 2 in unison, cello and viola in unison as well. I could have left the viola out here and just left the cello do that, but remember, if you want kind of equilibrium, equal balance, two strings in unison, right? It'll just both of those musical lines, even though they're playing the same pitch, will feel nicely balanced. What I'm doing with this arrangement is I'm growing it. I'm spreading it open, filling in these gaps. You can even see it here, right? We've got these two notes that then spread right here at measure 48, and then they continue to spread at measure 51. So I'm gonna solo this, no piano, okay? Solo with the viola included. Right there. Because even here at 49, what's happening is violin 2 and viola are in unison. Again, creating like openness, a bit of cluster, then openness again, and then now we're gonna be really expanding where there's more notes in the middle. I'm gonna take away the viola, we're gonna go back to that spot, and I want you to notice, remember, we've got violin 1 up here, violin 2 right here, cello right there. I want you to notice to see what happens now that the viola's gone, okay? It's not bad, right? It's not bad, but it's noticeably more empty. Let's bring the piano back now. Same thing with viola and then without viola. Okay, let's take away the viola again. What we're missing is this, right in here. And that's one of the most important things about orchestration in general, is you cannot forget about the mid-range, whether you're dealing with a brass ensemble, a woodwind ensemble, a string ensemble. And if you're thinking about a lush, thick, just nicely dense orchestration arrangement, that mid-range is critical, right? These are your violas, these are your French horns, these are your bassoons, your low clarinets, your trombones, right? Not that you have to use all of them at the same time, but in the context of a string arrangement, it just acts as such a nice bridge. So let's go to another moment in here where the string arrangement really expands. Just a quick interruption. If you want to get a better sense of where do you begin with orchestrating your song or your arrangement, check out my free orchestration starter kit in the description below, where I go into detail about all the instruments of the orchestra to help you get started with just formulating some ideas. Let me know what you think in the comments if you've checked that out, or reach out anytime. I'd be happy to answer your questions. And let's get back to viola. At this point in the track, I have this big instrumental swell, okay? And all the strings. I literally have violin 1 up there doing a big old melody, got violin 2 an octave below that doing a big old melody, and then even an octave below that, I have half of the cellos, cello A, doing a big old melody. We like big old melodies here in the Tony Manfredonia household. What's the viola doing, right? Viola is creating a counter melody. So I'm gonna play this from this little swell here. What is happening right there? Let's check this out. This is what the viola is doing here. So what's happening here is a couple things. If I were to bring all these strings back and just to take a look at what's happening here, we have violin 1 up here in octaves with violin 2, great. And then of course the cello in octaves there. But we need something to fill that bottom octave of the melody. If I take away the viola, this is what we have, and this is what it sounds like. Let's bring in the piano too. I don't know about you, but it's almost like I just need a bit more somewhere in the center. Now let's bring back same spot with the viola. Viola can answer the problem of it feels empty. I'm writing for strings, but it feels empty. If you throw everybody on melody and bass line, great 2-voice part writing or whatever you're doing, phenomenal. But the viola is such a great instrument to just hold down the fort. Don't forget the viola. It's different than the violin in tone, it's different than the cello in tone, but its tone is so almost wonderfully uncertain. Beautiful tone just for that stuff in the middle. So anyway, don't forget the viola. Thanks for watching. And if you want to learn more about string writing, check out my video here next, where I help you think more like a string player, especially if you're preparing your string arrangement to be done live by real players in a recording studio or on stage. I hope it helps. Catch you in the next video. Thanks so much and take care.
The clouds they ride over the windy